When a hurricane is forecast for your area, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. While it's not easy to prep your boat, there are some basics that will increase your boat's odds of surviving. Hi, I'm Carolyn Sherlock, and on this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, I'll share a checklist of 11 things you must do when a hurricane is on its way. Now, this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by SeaTech Systems, experts in cruising communications. Introducing the Narwhal Connect, a complete internet and calling solution for your boat. With plug-and-play Wi-Fi, cellular, and satellite, it's the only system designed to give you cost-effective internet anywhere in the world. Visit SeaTech Systems. That's SEA-TECH Systems. Get more information there. Now, as a bonus, Boat Galley Podcast listeners get free shipping with the code BG20 at checkout. SeaTech Systems. Navigate anywhere, connect everywhere. So how do you prepare a boat for a hurricane? What do you do if there's a major hurricane, say a Category 3 or above, bearing down on your boat? Surviving the storm involves a certain amount of luck, but you can substantially up your odds with good preparation. Okay, the first thing to do is double-check your insurance policy for the required preparation for a major hurricane. Also, reread the hurricane plan that you filed, stating how you would prepare. Should a claim be necessary, you'll have to prove that you fulfilled your obligations. And be sure to take your policy with you when you evacuate. Now, the next thing is get your sails off. The sails must actually come down for any hurricane, doubly so for a major one. Tying off a roller furred sail, Genoa or Maine, is simply not sufficient against hurricane force winds, which will tug at the exposed edges of the sail and pull out a little pocket. First 6 inches, then 12. It doesn't seem like much, but when winds are 70, 100, or 130 knots, that's enough sail area to put substantial pressure on your lines and anchoring. Your sail will be shredded, but that's not the worst part. During Hurricane Marty, 2003 in La Paz, Mexico, marina docks were pulled apart by sailing boats, which then crashed into other boats and docks, pulling them free as well. In other storms, we've seen cleats ripped out of docks and boat decks due to the force of the wind in just a scrap of unwound sail. Boats on the hard have been toppled or flipped, creating a chain reaction. Additionally, most insurance policies will not pay out if sails are left on. Getting the sails off is arguably the most important thing you can do to help your boat survive the storm. Next, you need to strip the decks. Reducing windage is key to reducing the stresses on your lines, whether it's moorings or your anchor, jack stands, whatever. Removing sails is the first and biggest part, but get everything else inside that you can. Your bimini, dodger, flags, grill, decorative lights, man overboard pole, throwable, window covers, cockpit cushions. It all adds up. Find a secure place inside the boat or ashore for the dinghy. Davits are about the worst possible place, as the dinghy will catch wind, act as a good-sized sail, and possibly rip the davits off. Okay, let's talk some about your lines. Having brand new lines of the right size and type is critical, whether it's dock lines, mooring lines, or anchor snubbers. If the boat is in the water, the lines are the only thing that are keeping it in place. In Hurricane Irma, our boat was one of only a very few in Boot Key Harbor with literally zero damage. We think that it was roughly 50% luck, as no other boats careened into us, but the other 50% was our prep. and part of that was our brand spanking new lines. The boat right beside us, which did not put new lines on, broke free from its mooring and was a total loss. After the storm, I pulled up their mooring pennant with the remains of their mooring lines on it. Every single one had simply broken in the middle, not at a chafe point even. Sunlight, stretching, chafe, and salt all take a toll on the fibers with either a few months' use, weakening the line and lessening its ability to stretch and absorb shock. Only one mooring failed in Boot Key Harbor during that storm, but 172 boats broke free of moorings. Now, don't use large, low-stretch lines for a storm. Lines need to be able to stretch to take the shock that the waves and wind gusts will generate. Undersized lines can part from the shock loads, but oversized lines that don't stretch will simply pull cleats and other attachment points out of the deck. Nylon 3-strand rope is the best combination of strength, stretch, and abrasion resistance. We use one size larger than our everyday lines as a compromise between the need for elasticity and strength. Okay, the other part of the line equation is protecting your lines from chafe. Fire hose is the chafe gears of choice. Fire departments are required to periodically replace hoses and generally give the old away for free if you ask. Cut pieces about 10 inches long. Make a small hole about an inch from one end. Pass the line through the hose, and then use a piece of light line, like say 1/8 inch, through that hole that you made to tie the fire hose to the cleat, stanchion, or dock. Don't try to tie the chafe gear to the major line that you're trying to protect, despite what many books say. If you tie it to the line, it will not stay in the right place as the line stretches during the storm. If you tie it to the cleat or the stanchion or the dock, it will stay there. The line will simply slide through it as it stretches, but the chafe gear will stay in the right place. Now use multiple lines to multiple attachment points. Use as many lines as possible to different attachment points on both ends. If one cleat, piling, or dock section fails, you want something else holding your boat. Any long tails on lines should be tied off so that they don't become damaging whips during the storm. Next, shut down your systems. Disconnect from shore power. Hurricanes and electricity are a bad combination. Close seacocks other than for bilge pumps and the engine, if you leave the keys in the engine. Otherwise, close the one for the engine even. Turn off and clean out your refrigerator. You don't want the refrigerator to drain the batteries that may be needed for bilge pumps. We made a conscious decision to tie our solar panel in place for Hurricane Irma instead of removing it, realizing that there was a very good chance we would lose it in the storm. Now, we didn't, but we were evacuating 5 days before the storm was forecast to arrive, and we wanted our batteries to stay fully charged to power the bilge pumps if needed. Next, take photos. Thoroughly document your hurricane prep in case you have to make an insurance or FEMA claim. Show that you followed your hurricane plan. Don't take just a few photos. Take 50 to 100 detailed photos of how and where every line is attached and protected from chafe, as well as overall shots showing the sails off and decks stripped, as well as the general configuration of lines. Now be sure to take these with you. Part of surviving a hurricane is not having another boat slam into yours. While location plays some role in this, don't rely on luck alone. Having well-prepared boats around you is key. Once your boat is ready, see if any of your neighbors need a hand. We have been told that most of the damage to boats in Boot Key Harbor during Irma was caused by one large boat that broke free, slammed into docks and broke them free, and then this whole pile started hitting other boats and breaking them free. In Hurricane Marty in La Paz, It was a few boats that had left roller furling jibs on that led to the destruction of most of one marina. Your boat is only as safe as the boats around it. Help those other boats survive the storm also. Okay, should you lock your boat when you leave it? There are pros and cons. It's a personal decision. We did not lock Barefoot Gal when we evacuated for Irma, realizing that she could be looted while we were gone. We also left the keys in the ignition in case she broke free and needed to and could be moved. We figured that if Barefoot Gal was damaged, someone might come aboard and try to save her. Another boat in the harbor was lost before the storm when Good Samaritans couldn't get inside quickly enough to stop her from sinking. Someone might have needed tools, food, or even a place to sleep. We decided that the potential reward of leaving the boat unlocked, both for us and others in the community, far outweighed any additional risk. We were already at serious risk of losing her. And number 11, evacuate early. Above all else, get yourself, your family, and pets to a safe place. Much as it pains me to say it, boats are things. Don't risk your life trying to protect the boat. Evacuate early, particularly if you will have to use public transportation. Expect significant delays. The first step in hurricane recovery is to survive the hurricane so that you can recover from it. Thanks for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. Never miss an episode. Make sure you subscribe.